I think we can all agree that air travel is nothing like what it was even 2 decades ago. If we focus on the Midwestern United States, smaller cities would have flights from multiple airlines to various hubs, including St. Louis, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, and Chicago. Fast forward to 2024, and most of those extensive regional route networks are long gone. Many smaller communities have had service reduced to 1 or 2 carriers from just 1 or 2 hubs, a sign of the immense consolidation in recent history. So yeah, regional flying is nowhere on the level of the 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s, but still, this area has always fascinated me considering this is what I grew up around. Looking at just Illinois, American Eagle serves the largest network of downstate Illinois communities with 5 cities. Today, I'll be crossing off my 3rd intra-Illinois route, flying from Chicago to Peoria on the CRJ 200. So without any further delay, and yes, this flight was delayed, let's get this video started. After arriving from Charlotte, I was booked for a 3-hour layover at O'Hare, the majority of which was spent plane spotting as usual. But as you can tell, the weather wasn't particularly great on this day and delays were widespread. This afternoon, we're on flight 5998 to Peoria, which is delayed a little over 40 minutes, much better than the 10 a.m. flight that was delayed over 3 hours. I had spent the last hour or so of my layover in the new L Stinger concourse of Terminal 3 and decided to head to my gate in the main Concourse L when I saw that my aircraft was about to arrive. Our CRJ 200 today was arriving from Dayton, Ohio. Weather-related delays had been affecting Chicago all day, and so this aircraft was late going and coming back, which further rolled over to our flight being delayed. I had been sitting in O'Hare for so long that I actually saw this aircraft depart for Dayton about 2 hours earlier. So there's our aircraft later today, leaving for Dayton, Ohio, an hour late because of all the weather delays. It's gonna go to Dayton, then come back, then hopefully take us down to Peoria. 413 Alpha Whiskey, that's the aircraft. Our flight was initially delayed until 2:05 p.m., but that eventually rolled over to 2:20. There weren't many updates from the gate agents regarding boarding, but no one was really bothered, and we ended up boarding around 2:15. American Eagle's fleet of CRJ 200s are operated by regional subsidiary Air Wisconsin, and I've covered this relationship in greater detail in a previous video. Specially suited for these short sub-1 hour flights, the CRJ 200s have an all-economy layout with 50 seats in a 2-2 configuration. I'll be seated in 12A, and the seats themselves are nothing extravagant but perfectly suited for the flights that these planes operate. The seat back features a standard tray table and a large seat pocket. Despite the negative energy that the CRJ 200 gets, the legroom isn't bad at all, and it's also great that there's no metal bar between seats, so if you happen to have both seats to yourself, you'll have a nice amount of space to stretch out. As usual, you'll also find the air vents, reading lights, and call buttons above the seats. Now, 2 grievances about the CRJ 200 relate to its low window placement and poor alignment. These are thanks to the fact that the CRJ 200 fuselage was derived from the Challenger 600 private jet. When designing the CRJ 200, a larger floor area was needed, so the designers ended up just raising the floor of the existing Challenger 600 fuselage. That explains why the seats are a decent bit higher than the window lining. Now, I'm assuming because of all the rolling delays that there was never much time to properly clean the aircraft, so leftover pretzels and what I hope was a sanitizing wipe were still present at the seat when I boarded. Because of the weather, we took a slightly different route down to Peoria than normal. Instead of turning right to head southwest, we instead turned left to head northwest before finally turning about 90 degrees to the left to head southwest. The flights between Chicago and Peoria usually take around 30 minutes, but because of our weather deviations, today's flight took about 40. Approaching Peoria from the north, we'd fly past the city on our downwind leg before turning base and landing on runway 31. As expected, not much to comment on today's flight. The delay was completely out of the airline's control, and once on board, we had a wonderful flight attendant, which I've come to expect from Air Wisconsin. Now, because of all the delays, there were 4 aircraft on the ground at the same time, which is pretty rare for this time of day in Peoria. The 11:05 American Eagle flight from Chicago ended up landing 4 hours late at 3:15, 20 minutes before we did. There was also a United CRJ-200 from Chicago and an American CRJ-900 from Charlotte, both of which arrived on time. Now, Peoria's ground staff for the American flights aren't used to servicing 3 flights simultaneously during the afternoon. As such, there were only enough rampers to service 1 flight, meaning us and the Charlotte flight had to each be brought into the gate one after the other.
Once they push back, we'll be able to punch the gate. Should be 5 minutes. Please remain here and have seatbelt security fastened. Thank you.
Thankfully, it doesn't take very long to turn around a CRJ, so the earlier Chicago flight was soon pushed back, and considering our flight was late already, we got priority over the Charlotte flight to be the next aircraft brought into the gate. The Charlotte flight would wait for another 30 minutes before eventually being brought into Gate 4. So here we are back in Peoria. I should add that most regional airports seem to have their flights scheduled so that there only need to be enough ground staff to service 1 or 2 flights at a time. The delays today really put the American ground staff under extra pressure to service 2 extra flights within a shortened time frame, and that shows how much appreciation they deserve. And I do really want to give them my appreciation, especially considering a few of them actually watch these videos. But anyway, that's all for today, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and until I see you next time, take care and goodbye.